And I'm standing here with Jim McDonald of Kootenay Silver. Sir, I've seen you all over the place. You do conferences, you do some online stuff. Why? What do you hope to achieve? What is it exactly that you're after with your marketing campaign?
Well, we're here in Zürich at the show, and we come here every year. We come here twice a year to Zürich, different shows. First of all, to see existing shareholders that have invested in the company and update them, and to look for people who are interested in investing in silver, new people, new shareholders, and that's why we're here.
It's new shareholders specifically that you're after, though, or is it informing your current shareholders, but also new shareholders? Or is it also maybe looking for a strategic? Is that something that kind of happens at these conferences where you might get a strategic deal or a bigger investment?
Yeah, so it's really the shareholders, so institutional and high net worth that we're after, existing and new. We're always interested in getting new people into the deal. This kind of show typically is not where you get strategics showing up at this particular show, so this focus here is on the investor.
Is a strategic something you're after to begin with, though? Is that something that would fit the Kootenay story?
Well, yeah, and we've done that in the past. We've had investments on prior discoveries from major mining companies 3 different times. Coeur Mining invested at one point, La Cigarra discovery, Agnico Eagle, an original Promontorio discovery, Mexico, and then Pan American on what we call La Negra. So, yeah, we do consider that, absolutely.
And then when you go and talk to these institutional investors that you're after, what's the story that you're selling them? Are you selling them a story of grade? Are you selling them a story of size? Is it both? What are you selling?
Yeah, well, it depends a little bit on the investor. So some of the investors that we have are merely interested in our silver resources, so like a silver bank and leverage of the silver price. So out of the 3 deposits, 2 of them start to look interesting, about $30. And then we have the classic discovery upside going on right now with our 4th discovery called Columbo, which is our best one to date in terms of grade. Size potential is excellent. It's got the potential for multiples of 100 million ounces even. And the grades and widths there are fantastic. So when you get a high-grade deposit, it's going to work in any kind of silver environment. So that's where we're really focused, and that's driving most of the investor interest right now.
Talk to me about that upside potential that you're bringing up here with that Ford discovery. What does that specifically look like? Like, how big could this thing get? And then subsequently, really the thing that I suppose investors care the most about, what is that going to do to your share price?
Well, it'll drive it up. And
quantify.
How big? Well, no, wouldn't quantify that. But how big could this new discovery be? It could be 200 million, 300 million ounce kind of thing even. And that would take some time to get it there. Drilling, lots of drilling, really, is what it requires. But one step at a time. First things first. We're in the middle of a 20,000 meter drill program right now. By the end of the year, we'll be done or almost done, which puts us in a position for a maiden resource, the very first resource, by the late in the first quarter.
200 to 300 million ounces. Now you're talking Vizsla silver type of size. Where's that estimate coming from?
Yeah, so it's coming from 2 things: our drill results and the physical aerial size of our vein system. So we've got it looks like a vein district that's 4 kilometers by 3 kilometers. So that kind of footprint, when our presentation, you can go online and look at our presentation. We have our veins on a map, the Vizsla district, and we have Las Chispas, which is about 140 million ounces. And so physical size compares well. Okay, that's a start. But then you really have to have the results. So then we've got, to date, we have drilled, we've released holes up to 171 holes so far, and now we're at about 40,000 meters of drilling in total. And so the results out of all that work are fantastic. So they're really supporting the thesis that, hey, you're going to have 100 million or 200 maybe, or maybe 300 in this district eventually.
How much drilling did it take Vizsla Silver to get to that amount? I don't know how many ounces they have right now, but I think it's among that 300 million ounce.
It's about 300, yeah.
How much drilling did it take him, do you know?
Oh, they would have drilled, well, to get to that stage, I don't know the answer, but I know it's going to be well north of 100,000 meters.
Is there anything that you can do that you don't have to drill that many meters, but where you can go to that size of a deposit because you've learned what they've done, or because you've learned something else, or is it going to take you that much drilling?
Yeah, in a vein system, which this is, usually it'll take you that much drilling. Different styles of deposit that are more disseminated in nature, more uniform, then you can get away with less drilling. But on these kind of things, it requires a lot of drilling. So the Las Chispas discovery, for example, which is Silvercrest, their first resource was somewhere around 60 million ounces, I believe. And it was around 50,000 or 60,000 meters of drilling.
Yeah. Is that, by the way, fair? Now that you said the Las Chispas, am I being fair in comparing you to Vizsla in any way outside of size? Like, is it geologically similar, or is it more similar to something else?
Yeah, no, the geological is similar. These all are classic vein systems, and so, but every area has its own unique characteristics and differences. But geologically, same kind of thing, same kind of deposits.
Right. 20,000 meters of drilling. How much money is that going to cost you? Where's the money going to come from?
Yeah, so we're funded on that 20,000 meters. We're already halfway through it. We did a financing in April to finance that, a $10 million financing. We will finish this program and exit with approximately $4 million in the treasury.
Okay, so after you finish it, you have $4 million. How's G&A for you? What are you burning?
A year, it's about 2 million Canadian,
Okay.
2.25 to 2.5 million Canadian. Includes our geologic staff. So when we're drilling, well, even when we're not drilling, they're actually out in the field doing work. So it's not really an administrative cost in its entirety, but that's what it is.
So no need to raise capital before the end of the program. How's that going to go chronologically? So you say you're halfway through it. How are you going to be releasing assays? I suppose you're kind of batching it somehow, but talk to me about chronologically. Next month, 3 months, 6 months, what are we seeing in terms of news?
Every several weeks, so probably every anywhere from 3 to 5 weeks, we'll be seeing results come out in batches. Yeah, we'll put them out several holes at a time. And the last drilling is going to be finished probably by the end of the year. It might take a little longer, maybe not. And that means assays will continue into January, possibly the end of January. So we could be reporting up to the end of January or into the first part of February on this current program.
Is there anything else happening in the meantime? Do you have to do any permitting, community consultation, anything else?
No, we've got all our surface access agreements in place. We're in good shape there. We've got a permit, so drill away.
And go out there and tell the story.
Yes.
What else what are people pushing back on with the story? Like, what's maybe something that maybe doesn't keep you up at night, but you have it in the back of your head thinking like, oh, I got to pay attention to that. And when you talk to essentially the smart money over here in Europe's financial center, what are they pushing back on?
Well, they want to know about the current political situation in Mexico, the change of government, and how that's going to look. There's discussion of a ban on open pit mining and what's going on with that. Is it going through? What do you know? So that's the feedback. People are more comfortable now with the change of government than they were a few months ago. And I'd say that would be probably the main point that you get back.
How's the safety for you when you go on the ground in Mexico? Do you just fly in, you rent a truck, you go to a project, or do you have to travel with a security detail?
No security. No, it's quite safe where we're working. We've never had to do anything like that in 20 years of working in Mexico. It depends on the areas. You know, some areas are dangerous, and you stay away from those. Our projects are situated in really good areas, quite safe. We've not had issues, so quite secure down there, and have never had to have any security detail.
Right. What else? What am I forgetting to ask you here? Trying to come up with questions that are going to make me look smart, but you're talking to people that are much smarter than me. What else do you think is important to talk about here?
Well, I think the silver market. So where are we in the macro on that? And it's our belief that we've now entered a bull phase here, so we're in a bull market at very early stages. Finally saw silver break just not that long ago. When was it? In April. Broke $30. That was the first time in 10 years. So now we view this as a pretty long bull coming up here. We believe it's going to go through the old highs above 50 and probably well beyond at some point. And so we've set all our projects up for that event, our current resource projects. We've updated all our reports on, but those are on hold until we get well into a silver bull market, when we're going to have a much better value on those assets. In the meanwhile, we're advancing that Columba as fast as we can, get the maiden resource out, expand on that, and update resource and PEA and get it down that path.
Okay. Updated resource PEA, is there a timeline, internal timeline that you're working on? You want to have all that drilling done by February? Is that coming 2025 later? What do you think?
For the maiden resource, yeah, it would be the end of the first quarter of 25.
Okay, that makes sense. And then on the back of that, you see if it's PEA, depending on what?
Yeah, well, yeah, then there'd be more drilling,
Okay.
expand on the resource, and then start doing work that you need for a PA.
Right.
And then depending on your results and the size of your deposit, then you're deciding when to pull the trigger on that.
You know, there's kind of a running joke online that the junior mining companies are only leveraged to the metals to the downside. So when the metals go up, the juniors stay flat. When the metals go down, the juniors also go down. Do you think there's something structurally wrong with the Canadian capital markets? That's something I've heard throughout this whole show a lot. Do you think that's true?
No. Well, there are lots of things wrong with the capital markets in general. It's changed a lot over the last 20 years. Gone into mostly managed money now and institutional. You lost a lot of the retail, you lost a lot of the brokers, which is really hard on early stage startup companies that were able to access capital that way. So, that'd be something that'd be great to see come back into the sector. But in general, as a market, sort of a market cycle, it's not that different from what we've seen before. You get the metals moving. What's different so far is that the mining companies always move to the upside first, and then it trickles down to the grassroots juniors eventually, and we're not there yet. But there still is a disconnect with the mining companies, even though many of them had pretty good runs here in the last 6-7 months. And still haven't gone to where they ought to be with record gold prices, and they will. It just takes time.
Well, Jim, this is your last meeting for the day as far as I understand it, so I assume you want to get out of here. Thank you so much for doing this, and hopefully speak soon.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking again with you.